Good afternoon, and welcome to the Rhino Strong podcast. I am James, your host, and Seta's around here somewhere.
Hello.
Today's episode, I was thinking that I would just touch base. Apparently, there's an enormous amount of people that have still not heard of Conjugate training. I don't know if they live under a rock or not, but they only understand Progressive Overload. So I'm just going to touch base with that and give some of my reasons why Conjugate is such a better form of lifting. So Oppressive Overload is, so you're 16 weeks out. You start your block off with like 10 or 12 reps. And throughout the weeks, you slowly lower the reps and increase the weight. So by the time you're close to the meet, you're at 3 weeks out, you're at 90%, so on and so forth. So you're really only lifting to 90% of your max for 3 weeks. So you're not going to even find or have any idea where your weaknesses are until you're over 95%. So how do you ever know when your weaknesses are? Oh, at the meet? It's a little too fucking late for it then. By the time you get there, you're figuring. Too many times people fucking like jumble my words here, just trying to fucking get this out because it disgusts me. How many times have people heard like, oh, it's a heavy weight, it's a max weight, that's why their knees are caving on the squat? No, your fucking knees should never cave. I don't even understand how that's fucking possible to say something like that. You have fucking exposed a huge weakness. People think it's fine. It's not fine. So that is my issue with Progressive Overload. Now Conjugate is literally rotating bars, always lifting close to 90%. The fact that you rotate bars, add bands, add boards, different things such as that, you're changing the load on the bar, so it's not possible for you to lift as much as you could straight weight, so your central nervous system gets a break, but you're still able to put 100% effort in. That being said, literally you can fucking do an enormous amount of reading. Louis from Westside Barbell did an awful lot of writing, so is Dave Tate at Elite Fitness. There is really no reason why I have to go over what Conjugate is, because if you don't do it or not willing to be open-minded, it ain't gonna fucking make a difference. But what I am going to talk about today is there is a few things, and I'm just gonna give one each lift that I think all power lifters should do in order to bring up weaknesses and the imbalances, build extra muscle, and get stronger. And most people don't do this. A lot of them don't do this. USAPL people, USPA people, and I'm sure there's a slew of other stupid federations that don't do this. Box squat. Once again, I cannot fucking understand how people don't get this to their head. Now, true, if you do it wrong, yeah, you could be weaker. But there's an awful lot of literature out there, between Westside and Elite Fitness to figure it out. I actually have YouTube videos. What's our YouTube?
Rhino Strong Gym.
Rhino Strong Gym. That you could look. But I'm telling you, Elite Fitness has an enormous amount of videos and info on it. There is nobody that shouldn't be box squatting. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're raw. I don't care if you're equipped. I don't care if you're playing basketball, baseball, running. Don't give a fuck. You're cutting yourself short by probably 30%.
And even non-athletes.
Well, yeah, if you want, it's good for your knees because you're learning to keep the load of the weight on your hips and glutes, so you're taking pressure off your knees. So in your everyday life, you will start living that way. So anyways, let me get back to this about the box squat. People probably disagree with it. Those people don't know how to fucking box squat at all. There's multiple ways to do it. You can, to variation, the variation for that. Biggest thing is the box should always be parallel. Now, parallel meaning your hip crease to the top of your knee. Your hip crease, which is a huge crease into your hip. I don't understand how people don't figure this out. They're looking at people like, oh, they're looking at the quad. No, some people have fucking huge quads. You can't judge that. They'd be fucking doing 3 inches too low. It's literally, the terminology is the hip crease. Okay? So, you set your box at that. And you can use chains, bands, different bars, cane bar, SS bar, Duffalo bar. But you should learn how to do it. For one, I mean, it builds hamstrings, glutes, hips, adductors, things that you're not going to get from regular squats. I mean, even if you squat wide, you're not going to get that unless you understand how to turn those on. All the box squats should be wider than your normal competition stance. The reason for that is this puts greater emphasis on your whole posterior chain, which is the whole back side of you. The things I just explained what they were. I'm pretty sure 90% of people who think they're doing a box squat, I mean, you can look at fucking Instagram for that matter, think they're doing them right. When actually they're doing them completely wrong. Two of the biggest things I see, I'll touch on. One is the people that simply squat to the box like a regular fucking squat. You know, they just squat down, touch the box, and go. You know, it's almost as if they're using the box to gauge them for depth. And those people that sit back the right way but completely drop onto the box, you know, those people are losing all their tightness, so they're not fucking getting any of it. So that's all I see. Very few people are actually doing it right. They're either using it to judge for height, or they're dropping in and getting completely loose, falling on the box. You know, basically, I guess the first way, just, you know, the fact of not sitting back on the box, you're losing everything that you could possibly benefit from the box squats. You're really wasting your time. You know, you're not getting anything from your hips, glutes, hamstrings, adductors. You're losing tightness. You know what I mean? Basically, you're sitting down and you're using your fucking quads to a box. Most people, if you look at it, I want to say, like, most people are quad dominant anyways, so they're stronger with their quads. So if you're never fixing your weaknesses, which are your hamstrings, glutes, hips, adductors, eventually something's going to happen. A lot of people have hamstring issues because of it. You can tear a quad, ACL. I mean, there's an enormous amount of tendons and different ligaments around your knee that you're going to fuck up. And I mean, think about it. Like, you wouldn't do biceps and not do triceps, right? That doesn't even fucking, people can't comprehend that. Yet they won't fucking train their hamstrings right, but they put everything on their quads. Man, I don't know. It really doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how people do it. The second I see is like people literally sitting back. They'll open up and they sit back and they drop onto the fucking box. They come down, they lose all their tightness, and drop completely. I mean, for one, you're not contracting and lowering yourself. You're not using your hamstrings to the box like you're supposed to. You're not getting stronger, and more so, you're literally teaching yourself to not stay tight in the bottom of the squat, which more than likely, when you go to competition, you're going to fucking bottom out because you're training to bottom out because you're not staying tight. You're not, you know, flexing your hamstrings and slowly sitting back.
It's incredibly hard to get tight from that loosened position.
What do you mean?
Like, if you're down and you lose tightness, it's hard to...
No, you can't regain it. You can never regain it. That's why, like, you're sitting... Imagine, like I said to you, imagine like you're sitting on an egg. Now, of course, once you're on the box, like, all your body weight's there, but you're squeezing your hamstrings and pushing out. I could go on this forever. I'm not going to give the definite, every little technique on how to box squat, or how people should be squatting. I can save that for another issue, but basically, you need to open up and sit back. And it's a hamstring curl. You're curling your hamstrings as you're pulling yourself in. I have a great example. This young kid, 16-year-old kid, Benny, who I've been training for like a year now. He's probably going to laugh and cry when I tell the story, but it's true. Everyone in the gym knows. He was trying to push bigger weights on the box, and he wasn't listening to me. He wasn't doing box squats. He was dropping himself completely, all his body weight, onto the box, doing it completely wrong. Well, what he was doing was making his hamstrings weaker and his glutes weaker, which he eventually, we did a block where Seta was supposed to do the Arnold, but we just opened the gym, so we just didn't have time to go. So we did a little peeking thing because she was doing it, and Benny dropped into the hole and completely caved and fell, collapsed, and everyone had to catch him. Because he was training himself and he wasn't listening to me to not get tight in the bottom, to literally, deliberately lose tightness and let go. He ended up pulling something in his hamstring glute. It's interesting. Because of that, and because he wasn't doing it right, I forced him to not deadlift or squat for 2 months. Maybe it was 10 weeks. I don't know. He literally had a countdown. Good thing is he's young, and he understood he was fucking up. He was willing to listen to me to get stronger and do it right. So all he was allowed to do was, and he literally did hundreds of bodyweight box squats every day. Sitting back, controlling, squeezing his hamstrings on the way down. And if you can't do a bodyweight, you're definitely going to do it with a fucking bar on your back. He did glute ham raises, reversed hypers, hamstring curls, pull-throughs, and like McGill's. I'm a big fan of McGill's, Stuart McGill, and all the little core things that he's famous for. But he did that. So, it's all he's allowed to do. 8-10 weeks later, whatever it was 8 or 10 weeks. Finally, I allowed him to squat and deadlift again. Well, it was the day fell on a deadlift day. And so I was like, yeah, you can work up. Not only did he, one of the best deadlifts I've ever seen him do, but he had like a 25-pound PR. And he had deadlifted in almost 10 weeks. Or squatted. Any weight, besides body weight. So, I mean, if that doesn't prove how important it is to do box squats and to do your hamstrings and, glute ham raises and focus on technique, I don't know what does. The system does work. I've been doing this forever. And not just me, people that are true conjugate people that have trained at Westside and stuff and actually understand conjugate. And there's people that haven't trained there but do understand conjugate. And they've molded it like I don't do speed work. I don't believe in that. But I do rep work. I believe rep work's important. So we do that instead of speed work. But, I mean, basically, I went through tons of people in my life. And if you're willing to just humble yourself, and accept that, you're going to get a little weaker in order to fix your weaknesses, correct your technique, you're never going to know what you're capable of. You're always going to have issues. And it's only going to be a matter of time till you hurt yourself. I mean, wouldn't you want to hit new PRs and all that, and feel healthier? I don't know. But people refuse. I mean, some people are just stuck. They're afraid to lose 5 pounds in their lift to gain 100. They don't see it. They don't understand it because that's what they're doing forever. But, you look at people like, when's your last PR? Oh, it was like 20 years ago. Oh, really? I guess if you're squatting 1,000 pounds and you're trying to put 5 pounds in your squat, it could take 5 years. But not 400 or 500 pounds. At 600 pounds, that's insane. Unless you're like 180 pounds. But... Oh, yeah, by the way, our YouTube channel, again, Rhino Strong Gym. There's videos in there of box squats and all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to do an episode on just all 3 of these things. But, yeah. Anyways, on to the next one, floor press. Another one that I'm a big fan of that I don't think people appreciate or even get into. They don't understand it because it's not a full range of motion. It doesn't fucking have to be. Imagine the first time you benched, you could actually bench more than the bar because you did fucking push-ups, you did other things in your life. When you're floor pressing, it teaches you to take the weight of the bar and place it from your triceps to your lats by locking out the weight and holding on to it. Kind of like imagine you're pushing yourself to the floor as you're holding the weight and locking it out. That way when you begin to lower the bar, you should be lowering it. You have a lot better chance of lowering it with your lats rather than your triceps. This is another thing too. Like, of course, you still, when I say lowering it with your triceps, you're lowering it with your lats. You still should be spreading the bar and engaging your triceps. Just because you're lowering it with your lats does not mean you shouldn't have your triceps engaged so that they're ready to fire out from the bottom. Once your elbows or your triceps, depends on how big your arm is, touch the floor. That way that way you're learning to lower the weight more with your lats. So you're not tiring or overtaxing your triceps. So you're able to put more force into the press once you drive off the bottom. And if you're using your triceps the whole time to lower the bar slowly, then press, you've already beat the fuck out of your triceps by lowering the bar. You already did half the work. Like having your triceps engaged before lowering the bar, is that so? Basically, like once you get to your press, your body's already send signals. You've already engaged. You already spread. Your lower tricep is already ready to fire, and it's holding the bar. It's not firing, but there's been signals because you're pushing out and your triceps locked. You've sent an enormous amount of signals, and you've lowered the bar. Your arms are locked. Your body's like sending signals like "fuck, hold this weight." It's prepping you.
To complete that.
Yeah. So basically it's like you don't want it to be a huge shock to your body. You come down lower with your back, right, and then all of a sudden you got to fire your triceps. I guess a good chance of tearing your tricep too. Your tricep's not ready. That's how people tear a bicep deadlifting or curling because they lower the bar curling and they relax and then they just forcefully curl the bar. So they lower it with it. You're gonna tear, but it's like a band. If you have a loose band and you pull it real hard, it's a better chance of tearing than if you have constant tension on it the whole time. There's a few exercises and warm-ups that we do and that you can do yourself. How to engage your triceps. Once again, I'm going to save them for another episode. Jimmy Kolb has like a couple videos on it, things he does. I actually took a couple of it from him. Part of powerlifting is opening your mind. I'm 46 and I'm still always trying to learn more. Coming to people like him, he's a bench freak. He's figured all of it out. If anyone isn't, and he's posted for $10 a month on what is it?
Patreon.
On Patreon. If you're not, you can't pay $10 a month to literally he shows his whole workouts, literally showing his hand of cards. I've changed our whole bench based on that, and every week people are stronger. We've been doing it for 4 weeks now, every fucking week. I don't know. He's got it figured out. Just like some people figured out the squat, the deadlift technique, and there's people, raw deadlifting 900 pounds, and there's people squatting 1,200 pounds. They figured that shit out. People are benching in a shirt 1,000 pounds now. He's benching 1,400 pounds. He's probably going to complete an actual real competition bench at 14. Check his workouts out. But he has a lot of information on how to engage that tricep. Where it was, I always did it, but it was always hard for me to explain it to people. He has a really dumbed down version how to do it, how to explain to people and how to teach people how to engage that. And everyone that I've
simple version.
Yeah, simple version. I'm a little. To me, I guess I've been doing this so long, I can't comprehend how people can't figure out the simple shit that I say. It's just so elementary to me that I can't understand why they can't figure it out. He makes it so simple that it was easier for me to explain to people and show them.
I think some people almost want it more complicated, but really a lot of this is.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I use very few words. I'm spread the bar, pull the bar apart, lock your arms, always lock your triceps locked, and I think. And that's really what it is. If you're pulling the bar apart the whole time at the bench, yeah, you're doing a tricep extension out. He just him saying tricep extension out makes more sense to people than spreading the bar. And there's a lot. It's, to me, like, been in this forever. Like, spreading the bar, that's what we say, and that's what people understood. It's a whole new generation of people that, like I said, don't even know what fucking conjugate is, which is pretty sad. So I guess I can't expect them to know what spread the bar means. It's funny.
Or if they were like me, they heard of it and knew very, very little, but I didn't have anyone to turn to actually teach me it.
Yeah, that's all right. I try my best. Okay, well, the third one, all you conventional deadlifters are going to have a fucking mental breakdown. You have to learn to pull sumo. Don't care what you think. And I don't just mean widening your stance, grabbing the bar inside your knees, and pulling the bar like a fucking conventional deadlift, which a lot of people do.
Guilty.
Find someone who's got great technique, who's a sumo technician. I'm really great at teaching people. If you live in the general Mayapack, Westchester area of New York State, Putnam Valley, anything around there, our gym's in Mayapack. Rhino Strong, look me up, come in. I love teaching people how to do it. Would love to talk to people, but if not, look at people. You know what I mean? Like, they have to be, and I'm not saying just someone that can pull heavy. You can have a 400-pound person pull, 5, 6, 7, 800 pounds. But when you have a, 200-pound person to, 265, pulling 800 pounds, but not just pulling it smooth and consistent, and whose back's not sore, and they feel healthy all the time. That's the person you need to have teach you. For one thing, by doing so, by learning how to do this, you're going to spare your lower back. You're going to strengthen your hips, hamstrings, glutes, adductors, all the same way you would with a box squat. I'm sure a lot of people are like turning this off now. Before you have a fucking meltdown, I'm not saying that, those of you that are proficient in conventional pullers, I'm not saying stop pulling conventional or stop pulling conventional at your meets. Although maybe, and like most people that I've taught, by the end, most people end up liking sumo more. Said it. A lot of people,
guilty.
A ton of people. This young guy, it's Jackson, who's moving to Prague, but he was with us for like 9 weeks. I don't know what his 100-pound PR or something like that. On his deadlift, over his conventional, his sumo, it doubled his strength because he didn't know how to pull sumo. So you might end up, with a stronger sumo than conventional, and basically you might just decide to switch.
Either way, it's a win-win.
Switch to the dark side, Luke.
Even if you stick with conventional, you're still going to get the benefits.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you take 12 weeks and really learn, and be patient, and don't fucking yank the bar, and don't add too much weight to fuck your hips aren't used to that shit. So don't add too much weight at first, or you're going to burn your hips out, and they'll be fucking sore for weeks. Take 12 weeks and pull sumo correctly. And then, it'll add to your conventional deadlift strength. And then from there, you can go back to pulling conventional. Add some sumo to your training. Use it as a way to deload, or deload your back, for that matter. Or if your back's sore when you start warming up conventional one day, your back's a little off, you're like, I'll pull sumo today. There's less pressure on my back. So you pull that instead, so you can still pull heavy, but you take pressure off your back if your back feels beat up. Or just like, once you know how to do it, and your hips and everything are stronger, use it as a second lift. Use it as like your builder lift. So you would pull conventional for your main. I don't care if it's threes or whatever you're doing. You're doing block pulls, rack pulls, whatever you're doing, and then, pull sumo for like 4 or 5 sets of fives or 5 sets of threes, from like a 2-inch block or a 1-inch block or mat. So use it as your builder. I'm not even going to attempt to touch on technique for sumo. There's just no fucking way. There's way too much. I think it's the most technical thing to do. I mean, I could attempt it at an episode, but I don't believe it's possible to explain it on a podcast. I just don't. Like I said, with the box squats, at our YouTube channel, there is videos of me doing it and other people doing it that I was explaining and, exactly how to do it. But, like, ultimately, you're going to need to find somebody. Somebody, probably.
In person.
Yeah, more than likely. I'd say videos are great, but, before I moved here, it was set up, like, I was coaching her online, and she'd send me videos of 3 different angles, 4 different angles, all kinds of. Sometimes she'd bench, hang the camera, and she'd set over top so it was face down on her. I move here, all kinds of shit was wrong. You miss so much from a video. I'm not knocking online trainers, or not all online trainers, but I'm saying, like, because I think most of them suck. But but listen, if someone's programming for you online, and you actually know how to fucking lift, and you're technically good lifter, and you don't know how to program, there's some great people out there that can do that. Really fucking, really, really talented people. But if you don't understand technique of lifting, that program ain't gonna do fucking shit for you. It really ain't. You gotta learn how to fucking lift. Pretty much. I don't know. I think I might leave it like that today, because I said I don't even want to touch base on sumo. Maybe I'll do more video, another thing. I'm thinking about doing a seminar for it here. So people are in the area, they can come in. Pretty much it. Seta, you were a woman of few words today.
That's okay.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Everyone have a good night, and I'll see you next week.